can't make this up. This is exactly what she told me. I'm for the streets. I can't make that up. So if you for the streets, then to the streets you shall return.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Hold on. Make sure nothing on my face. Cool. Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys also about Latoya and Adam. I'm just going to talk a little bit around, obviously there was a little Instagram comment that's been catching a few people's eyes, so we're just going to talk about that. If you're new to the channel, do yourself a favor, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. For those of you returnees, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Alright, listen, let's get it going, So, talking about obviously Latoya and talking about obviously Adam, you know, they've obviously now going through the divorce proceedings. If you watched my first review, I spoke about Adam's actual comments actually that was made. Now, what's really interesting obviously is that Latoya hasn't really said anything in regards to the situation. She did a little Instagram post where she said she thanked people and she let people know that yes, they were separated. But in terms of actually explaining her side of things, we haven't really seen that. Now, that's left room for a lot of speculation, a lot of people trying to fill in the blanks and people trying to understand what's happened and what went wrong. And I will say this straight first, number one. No one should be your relationship goals. You understand? Like, no one should be your relationship goals. And I'll do that in another video. I'll speak about that. But whenever you make people relationship goals, you make it very difficult for yourself because you set a standard and a target which you're not in that relationship to be able to make. You know, you're seeing snippets and snapshots of that relationship and saying, I want that. Right? So many of us who are audience members who have watched them for years, I know they're disappointed, they're hurt. Why? Because we invested time and energy and love into their relationship. You know what I'm saying? So we were rooting for you like Tyra Banks. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, you know, when it comes to relationships, we don't know the ins and outs of any relationship. And what's interesting though is that I see that in the comment sections in some of these videos, a lot of people saying, we don't know the ins and outs, but then you're on the video watching someone talk about their situation. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like the paradox. You know, we're clicking on videos, you know, that are going to be spilling tea evidently, and we go there saying, well, we don't know the situation. Da, da, da. But you went onto a tea situation. Why not wait until you hear what Latoya and Adam say directly? But you go into other people's videos where they're commenting to say, we don't know what's happening. I'm like, blood, like just focus on you. Don't worry about that, darling. Let them tea. They're gonna tea that. You know what I'm saying? But whenever there is a silence, there's always room for someone to try and fill in the narrative. Now, Adam's already spoke about his side. He's enlightened us on what he felt like was his position in that side. I think he was quite respectful. I know that he let us know, obviously, how he was feeling. And one thing that he really mentioned, which we're going to talk about today as well in the particular video, was the fact that he said there was obviously, he's had some kind of, I guess, pushback from family that on her side, right? So he's had some of that pushback, some of that comments that were made, or whatever, and he said obviously the internet was kind of dragging him as well. Number one, I haven't seen any, I tried to find where the internet was dragging him, I didn't really find.
For a while, I've been dragged from her side of, you know, people from her side, and I don't owe her anymore. I don't owe her protection anymore. Like, I don't have to stay quiet to protect you.
So I don't know where he's being dragged on. It might be Twitter, it might be Snapchat, I don't know, but I didn't see any. Yeah, but there may be some happening that I just don't see. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously, in terms of regards, obviously, to the fact that him mentioning the fact that on her side there's been some type of comments or what feedback or whatever has been said that's not been favourable. You know, whenever relationships break down, people start to form or go onto different sides. Yeah, people take sides. Yeah, because it's intense now, isn't it? Because obviously, everybody's got their loyalty where it lies, isn't it? And so I think one thing I saw was obviously I saw on her picture after watching another video online, coming across it by mistake, was speaking about the fact that there was a comment that was made about the streets thing. Now I already said in my last video, I said, look, I don't mind him doing the streets tweet The problem was that he didn't give me the context of the whole.
Can't make this up. This is exactly what she told me. I'm for the streets. I can't make that up. So if you for the streets, then to the streets you shall return.
So he showed me a snippet and said, oh, she said obviously about for the streets, but didn't give me the full context of the conversation of how it got to that part. Because it just is a bit out there. Was she joking? Was it another conversation? I'm not here to be manipulated. You understand? So I'm not here to be forming opinions based on what you may think you're trying to show me. Like that's what TV's there for. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I wasn't happy about the fact there wasn't a context that was given to that particular tweet that he showed the picture of. I'd rather he just talk about it rather than show me the tweet or the message that was had, but that showed me the full context of what actually happened. And I thought that was a little bit, I felt like that was a bit, bit disingenuous by doing it. When I say disingenuous, I mean by the fact that presenting that without giving a full context of the actual story. Yeah, it kind of formed a narrative, which I didn't really particularly like. But saying that, there could also be an element of truth in that as well. So the truth could be that she really was saying, give me to the streets. Here's the thing. So when I went onto her page after watching the video, I went to find a comment and I looked at it, and obviously the actual comment, I'll get it for. Ask Auntie Gillian, who's actually an auntie of Latoya Forever, right? So she puts on, by the way, I'm out here on the streets, laughing face. Now, obviously, this is 6 days after, I'm guessing, his particular video, so 6 or 7 days after the video, whatever. This is in relation to the comment that he made about out there on the streets. The problem with this is that it's in public, yeah? And you know when we're dealing with situations of trying to form a narrative, like I know that, listen, as much as we say that we know the truth is the truth is the truth, but there are facts out there, just like as a court of law, which people are going to try to establish, right? So obviously, when he's obviously mentioned for the streets, right, in his particular comment, I mean, if you watch the whole video, he's not joking, he's not bantering about it, like it looks like it's really affecting him, right? So that already is going to put a certain narrative on the story of who's right and who's wrong. Then you come across this particular comment by Aunt Gillian saying, obviously, making a joke about the fact that she said, by the way, I'm out here on the streets, yeah? That is obviously indirect, if you want to call it direct, in regards to his comment about being on the streets, right? And so when he said that, he also mentioned about the fact that the family members also felt like they were not on his side per se. They were siding and giving him some chiding, you know what I mean? So then when you come in and add this particular instance, again, remember, I'm not forming a side. I'm not taking either side. I'm only merely reporting, saying to you, this is how loyalties get pushed onto either side and how narratives for the audience who are watching begin to be formed. So now obviously, by the way, I'm out here on the streets, right? And then obviously you've got some people commenting saying, obviously, can't stand y'all. Someone puts a face there. You see Aunt Gillian saying, what corner you on? Let me come and find you, right? Making it laughing face again. And it just looks like what he said it was, which is that on the family side of things, that they're coming, it looks like they're kind of slightly coming at him. Now here's the thing. I'm not saying that they can or can't do it. I'm not here to regulate that. Do you know what I'm saying? What I am here to say is that obviously because he made a point about the fact the family were not really on side, and then you start seeing jokes like this, yeah, or even comments like this, it further alludes to his point being correct. It's almost like when white people say about black people, black folks are not able to be well behaved, and then black folk go and do something which is not well behaved. And that's not every black folk. That's not every black folk. That's a specific amount of black folk that did something stupid, but they're now proving the point of white folk. And I'm not saying that's correct. Listen to what I'm saying. The truth isn't what they're saying. The fact is, there are some black folk that do that. The truth is that it's not every black person. But the fact is being proved correctly. Do you see what I'm saying? So I am not saying that Latoya Forever is the cause of the divorce, whether she was all bad. No. I'm saying that the fact of what he said was, obviously, number one, the family obviously weren't really on side. And two, the comment about the streets, right? And then that is being used as a joke and a banter in the comment section by Aunt Gillian, okay, towards Latoya. Because yes, Latoya actually replies, yo, Trinis make joke about everything, we can't help it, do you get me? And then obviously it's 43rd, yeah, you heard? And so, yeah, I mean, again, it's not to say that this is even a crazy comment to make. It's just in relation to the fact that it brings a comment which is directly in relation to what Adam said in his video. So I think this is a lesson, I think, for all of us. Like, when it comes to relationships and when it comes to breakups, like, the people will form a narrative based on what they're seeing. So we can't go by anything else. We can't. And I know people say don't judge a book by its cover, but it's like, blood, you are presenting a book to me. Like, you're presenting certain pages to me. Like, if someone takes a context of certain things, right, and shows it to people, people start to frame a narrative. It doesn't mean that it's right. It just means that when it comes to the audience member trying to frame something, this is how it's going to look. Do you understand? But yeah, just dealing with relationships in general. Hurt parties, when they're hurt, jokes can fly. When people are hurt, or when people feel, and you see, when the brakes are off, when relationships break up, yeah, the brakes come off. Let me be very real to you. When relationships break down, the brakes come off. And when the brakes come off, all that people were feeling and felt at the time about you and your relationship and will come out. Yeah? So if they didn't like your boyfriend, it's going to come out and be like, oh, thank God you finally got rid of that boyfriend. He was such a or thank God you got rid of that girlfriend because she was such a do you know what I'm saying? Like, all the truth tends to come out when the person breaks up that individual person and there's space. Because now they can begin to tell the full story. Like, I couldn't tell you that before because obviously you lot were dating and do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't, because that was your man, that was your girl, like I'm saying. I know you love the person, so I couldn't really say anything. But this is how I truly felt. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes jokes like this, little comments like this, can actually further accentuate the fact that this is how you truly felt. Yeah? So again, I'm not trying to side. I'm merely saying to you guys, be careful what you put out there. I always tell you, listen, when you tell, like, for instance, when you're dating someone, yeah, and you put out there, like, oh, to even your friends, and you say everything negative whenever you talk about your boyfriend, of course, the response going to be back is, why are you with him? If you only tell the person every time that he's good, you actually create envy. You need to find a healthy balance of good and bad. It's mad, you know. You talk too much good, the girls are going to be like, can't wait for this to fall somewhere. Because, like, you lot are saying you're perfect, basically. And if you just say too much bad, the person, like, you should just get out of the relationship. What's the point? Do you feel me? So the whole point is finding a balance and also being able to regulate your mouth. What can I cannot say? So I respect LaToya. She hasn't really come out and said anything just yet. She may address it in the next few months. I don't know. But I respect the fact that she hasn't said anything. She's kept that silence. But just to say that, obviously, keeping that silence means that someone fills in that silence. Because there's emptiness, someone has to fill that void. So there'll be stories, there'll be different ideas, there'll be people going through the old videos saying, hey, this, that. I've heard so many comments about it. But I'm focused on what I can see. What I see is obviously there's a comment that was made. I'm not saying one is bad or the other, but we're looking at it and going, what narrative are you trying to frame? What narrative are you trying to create? What story is going to be fed? What story is being created here? You know? And yeah, so again, it's not to say that Adam's right. It's to say, listen, I can understand that facts are being proved, but it's it's a bias from an audience perspective, and the fact that what we get sown is what we have to work with. We can't work outside of that. So yeah, guys, I hope they sort it out and that, you know what, I hope they can even get together again, but we don't know, man. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully the divorce, if it is going through, will be amicable, sensible, and not too bad for them. Do you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you guys to Lock Stay Loaded. Let us know your thoughts down below, and we'll get talking. I appreciate you guys to Lock Stay Loaded. More love, more love, more love.